Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Fatboyz Dynasty podcast presented by the Fantasy Holics. As always, coming at you, Bo and Brant. And happy Halloween, guys. We're going to throw out some deep waiver claims for this week. Some guys that you could call, maybe they'll be a trick, maybe they'll be a treat to your roster. We'll have to find out on this lovely Halloween evening. We'll get it out there, and we'll talk about a couple guys that I know one of my guys is pending on the trade deadline on his new role, and I know there's a couple other names out there that we could possibly be talking about moving at the trade deadline. Bo, you got anything?
Yeah. So again, just to stick with the Halloween trend, these waiver. At least my waiver wires that I went and looked at to try to pull names from some of my deep leagues, some of my short leagues. It's spooky season when it comes to the waivers. The cupboard's barren. Okay, that'd be like having your porch light on for the kids to come up and trick or treat, and you look and you realize you're like, oh no, I don't have any candy left, so you have to give like the last $10 bill you have in your wallet to some poor child, so you don't feel like a terrible human being. Yeah, that's where we're at with the waivers right now. But yeah, Brent, you kind of alluded to it. Don't forget, guys, that yes, it's 9 o'clock Eastern time right now when we're recording this. So by the time it's out and available for your listening pleasure, it'll be 10 o'clock Eastern time. And tomorrow is the NFL trade deadline. We did see Roquan Smith get traded from the Chicago Bears to the Baltimore Ravens today. So tomorrow is the last chance. And if you're one of those people who has your phone with you at all times and you're constantly checking the news, maybe you'll get on there and steal a waiver claim before somebody else in your league sees it. So bear in mind, there's a lot of trade rumors out there right now with some pretty big name players. So keep your eye on that tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, while my kids are over here in the background divvying up their candy and everything, let's get into our tricks and treats for the waiver wire, and hopefully we have a few more treats in our bag. I'm going to jump out and grab this very first one. You and me talked about him just a little bit, and it's Ronnie Rivers, running back for the Los Angeles Rams. With Kyren Williams out still a little bit longer, and, not sure what's going on with Cam Akers. Now, I did read that if Cam Akers does not get traded, he has said he will come back to the Rams and start participating. So this guy right here could be completely irrelevant if Akers doesn't move on. But last week he led the Rams in carries. He did have the lower percentage of snaps. He looked pretty decent when he did get to touch the ball from what I saw. I didn't get to watch a whole lot of that game as it was on at the same time as my Seahawks beating the Giants. Let me take a little stab at our producer for our live real fast. And but Ronnie Rivers is only owned in 4% of leagues. This guy in real deep leagues, this is a guy that maybe you could grab and just stash and see what happens with the whole Rams backfield, because you don't know how Kyren Williams is going to look. Me being a Notre Dame fan, I'm hoping he looks great and he becomes the number one there. Although Bo, you won't give him up for nothing right now for me. So we'll just have to wait and see what goes on with that Rams backfield. But as of right now, I'm grabbing every little bit I can just to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, I definitely think that backfield's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens if Akers isn't dealt tomorrow and then Kyren Williams reemerges. I mean, it definitely sounds like there's a chance he could be the RB1 on that roster as soon as he comes off the IR. So it'll be real interesting to see what happens there, especially with as highly as people were drafting Cam Akers. Let's talk about a Halloween nightmare right there. That'll give you some frights. So my first waiver claim is rostered in less than 4% leagues. It's right around 1%. And this is another kind of relative unknown, but the offense he plays in and the role he could have in that offense moving forward may make him more of a treat than a trick. And that's Samurai Toure, the wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. He's a rookie, I believe, out of the University of Nevada. I'd have to double check on that, but I believe the University of Nevada. In the last 2 weeks, he's gotten on the field. He saw a little bit of snaps. He had 35% snap share in week 7 and 21% this week. Again, Christian Watson was back this week. That's probably why the snap count was a little low, but Christian Watson did leave with a concussion early in that game. And all Samori Toure did was have 4 targets, 1 reception, 37 yards, and a touchdown. So Mr. Rodgers, Mr. Aaron Rodgers, has found a wide receiver on his team that will catch a touchdown pass. Tell me that doesn't have some momentum moving forward after a week, even though the Bills did end up beating them pretty handedly. This is a guy that, again, in real deep leagues and in leagues where there's nothing out there, whatever, this may be a guy you may want to stash and just see what happens with the Green Bay offense. Obviously, it's bad, but Aaron Rodgers is going to do whatever it takes to get it on track. And if he's got a guy he knows will catch touchdown passes, the guy's probably going to start getting more playing time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And like you said, Rodgers has already come out and said, some of these younger other guys need to get opportunities. I'm not sure who in the Bills organization had money on that game, letting the Packers get a backdoor cover there. But yeah, the Bills pretty much handled that game with no problem. But yeah, I'm not even going to attempt to say this guy's name because we all know my history with names and everything. So, but yeah, this is a guy definitely worth taking a stab at, especially in your deeper dynasty leagues. You got those taxi spots to hold on to. Who knows who emerges out of that?
I think, Brian, if we really wanted to scare the people, we should put a side-by-side up with Tua and Albert O's names on the screen and just let you have at it.
No, we're good. I'll just go grab a piece of bubble gum and try to talk with that in. So my next guy is a guy, I'm going to put him out there. And what's going to happen is I'm going to put this name out here, and it's going to be like the Michael Carter situation all over again, where I put his name out, and then James Robinson shows up as soon as we put the episode out. So I'm going to put this name out there, and right now he's third in the pecking order. It's Dearness Johnson, the running back for the Cleveland Browns. He's only owned in 18% of the leagues. Well, we've seen this guy come in, I think it was last year when Hunt and Chubb were both banged up, and talk about side-by-side pictures, you put him up with those other 3 or with those other 2, and guess what? He performed just as good as they did behind that line. And this guy could easily step into a Kareem Hunt type role, a receiving back role if Kareem Hunt's dealt. And I know there's a lot of rumors out there. There's a lot of teams that need running backs. So Kareem Hunt's a guy that I definitely could be seeing moved as of tomorrow. And if he does, this is a guy I'm definitely getting high on my waiver list because this guy definitely could be a difference maker in that backfield, especially if Nick Chubb gets banged up. This guy's going to be the first man to step up because he's already been there for 2 or 3 years and ready to go.
Yeah, and the interesting thing too, Brand, is that with the trade deadline ending on a Tuesday, that means you have till the trade deadline's gone and passed to put your waiver claims in. There's no rush. Don't be one of those people who goes in and sets it when you have the number 1 claim in your league, and some big news breaks, and that player that you'd already put your claim in for is no longer the number 1, and you miss it because you slept on it. Make sure you're paying attention to that. But yes, Dearness Johnson's one that I've got my eye on as well, with the potential of Kareem Hunt being dealt. So that's one people should be watching pretty near and dear. Another one that I've got that I'm kind of interested in is for anybody who tuned in and watched that game Sunday morning in London with the Denver Broncos against the Jacksonville Jaguars. One thing you will notice is that Russ is really starting to try to get the ball to KJ Hamler deep quite often. It seems like KJ Hamler is the deep ball threat in that Denver offense. And really, honestly, it's been kind of a crapshoot between the wide receiver position this year. The one thing that you can say pretty consistently about the Denver offense is that it seems that the tight ends are the players to own. But if I can get a guy, again, not necessarily somebody I have to play, but on waiver weeks, maybe I'm looking to get like those high ceiling points. KJ Hamler's a guy that you could slot in your lineup knowing that you're going to see three or 4 deep targets a game from Russ to him. And again, all he has to do is catch one of those for a touchdown, and you're getting some solid points out of that wide receiver / flex position with KJ Hamler. Again, this guy's only rostered 9% of leagues, so it's definitely somebody that you could definitely go out and get if you wanted to.
Yeah, I know. Preseason we were talking about him and Tim Patrick. Which one will take that deep role for Russ and fill that Tyler Lockett role? And it looks like KJ Hamler's starting to fill that role. And as long as he can continue to build trust with Russ, and Russ starts throwing a little bit, and that team starts clicking a little bit more, that definitely KJ Hamler's a guy that could be making some waves the rest of this year. So with my wide receiver, this guy is, I'm going to say his name, and you guys, it's not going to be the one you're thinking of. And as of right now, as I'm watching this game, it's not as enticing as I thought it was going to be when I started reading in. So I'm watching the Cleveland-Cincinnati game here, and Michael Thomas of the Cincinnati Bengals, wide receiver, is coming in, and he is supposed to be filling the he obviously can't fill Jamar Chase's shoes, but over the next, few weeks that Chase will be missing, Mike Thomas. See, I'm going to mess up the name right here myself. The easiest one we probably have on all of our names.
No, don't sell yourself short. That's a tough one.
Yeah. Mike Thomas is a guy that's going to step in. He's going to play, a lot of snaps in a high-powered offense. Bye weeks are here. This is a guy that like I said, the volume could start to show itself in this high-powered offense in Cincinnati, and this is a guy he's only owned in 4% of leagues. A guy I have no problem stashing just to see what happens with this offense.
Yeah, I think if you can find a pass catcher for Joe Burrow that's out there with a potential of any kind of relevancy, it's almost worth keeping an eye on, putting him on that little watch list, hitting that button, But again, this is one that if he blows up tonight, he's going to be on a lot of people's radar. So it's one of these guys, like we said at the beginning of the show, they're either deep dives that could either hit and be great, or you're going to have them for a few weeks and drop them. So no harm, no foul if you've already got another drop. A lot of us, this is the time of the year where we're starting to pick up those second, third tight ends, second defense, second kicker for bye weeks. So again, if you have one of those extra roster spots because you've got two kickers or the two defenses and you're not streaming those positions, you have a stud that you're like, I don't want to drop Justin Tucker when his bye week come up or whatever. Maybe you drop that backup quick kicker for a guy like Michael Thomas there and see if it hits, see if it doesn't. You've got nothing to lose at that point. I'm going to save my best waiver claim for last, Brant. So I'm going to go to another one that's again a deep dive, and it could be scary. It could be real frightening, and that's Dwayne Washington, the third string running back for the New Orleans Saints. Now, why the heck would I tell anybody to go pick up a running back behind Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram? Well, Mark Ingram's out for the next 3 to 4 weeks with an injury he suffered yesterday. And we all know how being an Alvin Kamara owner is. It seems like every year there's 2 or 3 games where it's like, oh, Mark Ingram's going off. That could have been Alvin Kamara's touchdown or, whatever, right? So we all know that Mark Ingram's a guy that has some value, and typically we see him rostered, and a lot of times it's by the Kamara handcuff or by the Kamara owner for that handcuff. But Dwayne Washington's a guy that after Mark Ingram got hurt, he did come in and see some snaps this weekend. wasn't fantastic, but again, it was his first game time or game action of the year. And again, he should step into that Mark Ingram role in this offense, which equates to around 30% of the snaps. Again, and it's one of those scenarios where this is a guy that's getting 30% snaps. I know he's guaranteed to see the field. If I have to play him, and in my flex, and Brant, you and I saw on the live this weekend, there's some guys with worse flex names than Dwayne Washington out there with a guaranteed snap share. So if you're able to pick up a running back that's got a guaranteed snap share, he's going to get you 5-6 carries potentially. All it takes is one. That's all it takes. One rush of 30 plus yards, and you're getting something out of that spot where it's like maybe a guy like even maybe KJ Hamler, if he doesn't come down with one of those touchdown passes, he doesn't connect with Russ, maybe you're more happy that you played a guy like Dwayne Washington than KJ Hamler.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did save my best for last too in my mind. Guys owned in 41% of the leagues. Like I said, we talk about bye weeks, and going into week 9, you got the Browns, the Cowboys, the Broncos, the Giants, the Steelers, the Niners all on bye. Well, this guy's owned in 41% of leagues, and he's the number 11 quarterback so far this year. And it's Justin Fields for the Chicago Bears. The guy is maybe it's not the most pretty thing out there. It's not fun to watch your fantasy quarterback because, well, the Bears aren't always fun to watch. But over the last 3 weeks, he's hung over 19 fantasy points. In the last 3 weeks, he's got a great schedule coming up for quarterbacks. He's got great rushing upside, and it really shocked me to see that he was owned in only 41% of leagues because this is a guy that, like I said, he's hung 19 20 points over the last couple weeks. So this is a guy that if you're in QB denial and you just keep picking ones up and it just ain't cutting it, maybe this is the guy to go ahead and pick. Yeah, that definitely me, because we all know Daniel Jones did phenomenal this week, because apparently Seattle's defense decided to step up, and I didn't realize that we were capable of that.
That wasn't a Seattle offense. That was the real Danny Dimes from the last 4 years coming back. He was putting on a mask, and he decided to take his mask off on Halloween weekend. That was the Danny Dimes of old. Yeah, I guess I will tip my hat to your Seahawks. I'm not trying to slap you around a little bit there, but Danny Dimes, man, I started him too this week in our big local league that you and I are both in, and left a real sour taste in my mouth. Some rotten candy there, if you will, from Halloween. Danny Dimes, not the answer.
Seattle finished as the number 2 defense in fantasy this week.
Did you start him?
No, I didn't. They're probably owned in about as many leagues as Washington, and that first name you said that I'm not going to butcher up.
My last waiver claim is one that I'm really excited about this year. This is a guy that he's a rookie in the National Football League. He is a wide receiver and probably ran the most crisp routes of any wide receiver in college last year. And this guy is not doing a whole lot right now, but that's also because of the system he's in. And that's David Bell, the wide receiver that is also on TV right now on the opposite team of Michael Thomas and with the Cleveland Browns. This is a guy that, again, gets Deshaun Watson in just 2 short weeks. Bye week, next week, and then week 10, and then boom, we got Deshaun Watson coming in. So this is a guy that if you're interested in owning stake in that Cleveland Browns offense when Deshaun comes back with it, which I think a lot of us are, this is a guy that's rostered right now in around 7% of leagues, which is absolutely criminal in my mind. I'm one of those people that roster him. This is a guy that I really think is going to have a pretty big role. I think this could be Jarvis Landry 2.0 in Cleveland, but with a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield or anybody else that threw the ball to Jarvis Landry in his time in Cleveland. I think this could be a really, really fun duo to watch for the foreseeable future. And you got Amari Cooper there. I think the wide receiver position is going to become really intriguing in Cleveland. So whether it's Donovan Peoples-Jones or David Bell that you go pick up, I think you're getting an absolute steal out of the two of them.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a guy that I really liked coming out of this year's draft, and I wasn't too thrilled with where he landed with everybody that was there. But now that Watson is coming back, it definitely intrigues me just a little bit more to see what Bell does this year with Watson coming back. I'm actually excited to see Watson come back, see if he can really pull some strings there and get that offense really tugging along and everything. Yeah. We'll see if it can work out to be a happy ending in Cleveland. Oh yeah. So that's all we got for this week's episode. Like I said, we wanted to get a nice short one out to you guys for waivers. I know we normally do trade candidates and everything, but Halloween we're getting back in there with our family and everything. Trade candidates are usually the Wednesday episodes, sir. Oh, okay. Well, so we'll still get those out in 2 short days. I'm sorry. After the trade deadline is concluded. Yeah, I'm sorry. All that candy must be getting up to my fat brain here. Yeah, there you go. Hey, listen, we have an excuse this week, okay? We're both heavy-set fellas, and we both just did a lot more walking for our children to get a bunch of candy, and we both had to walk through our own drool as we were walking after they came out and said, look at this Kit Kat I got. Look at this Twix I got. I got Skittles. Yeah, great, kid. As soon as we get home and you go to bed, I'm stealing half of it, right? Yes. We're both worn out, so it's fine. Yeah, definitely. Well, you guys out there, I hope you guys had a great Halloween. I hope you guys are kicking butt in your fantasy league. And as always, stay hungry. And stay fat, my friends.